Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over some simple on-camera flash positions, like where the flash is pointed and directed. There are three main ones that I use and three main ones that I have found pretty much covers all the different setups, looks, events, weddings, all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm doing all of the examples in the studio here, and as you can see, everything is very white. The ceiling is a tin ceiling with rafters, and everything is very, very reflective. So I do have a kind of an advantage there. However, the general concept is the same, and it's how I use my flashes at all of my events, weddings, portrait shoots, things like that. Now, again, we're talking about on-camera flash. So what are the three main ways to set up your flash? Well, the first one is direct. So the flash is pointed directly at your subject. The second one is straight up. And the third one is slightly tilted to either the left or the right. Now this would depend on if you have like a reflective surface on your left or right. So for the examples that you'll see me showing you, I have it pointed to the right, that way, because I have a white wall on the right side, so it hits the wall and reflects back. Now these are three very, very different and unique ways to create a look on your subjects. Now they all work. It just depends on the look you're going for. As a quick note on the examples that I'm gonna show you in this video, I did all of the examples in the studio and I did them with the ambient lights on, as you can see, and I did the same photos with the ambient lights off as well. That way you can see what the flash is actually doing as opposed to what the ambient lights add as a fill. Now, flash, I wanna tell you, seems very, very complex, but essentially all you're doing is adding light. You're either adding more or less light and from different angles. Flash in the industry has become very, very complex, but when you learn how to do flash, and it's actually quite simple, just requires some practice. When you learn how to do flash, it opens up unlimited possibilities of creativity in photography, and I highly recommend you starting to practice with it. Just put on the flash, start taking everything with flash, and you'll be surprised. You're gonna shock yourself to find how much you actually love flash photography. So we're gonna start with direct flash. Now this is when your flash on camera is pointed directly at your subject. This is a very paparazzi kind of style. It's a very raw and edgy look. It's becoming very popular these days in weddings. You'll see a lot of examples of it where you have very harsh shadows, high contrast, and it's considered more artsy in the world. Now, it's just another method of using flash and it looks really good, but it does have some drawbacks. For example, your subject is going to be brightly lit where your background is going to be fairly dark. It's not gonna get very lit. The other thing is the lighting is very, very harsh, but these drawbacks aren't really that bad. And a lot of people really, really like it. I've come to really like it when shooting weddings, especially when doing the cakes, because it gives a very stylistic look and it's very, very nice. Now, before we go on to the next one, just as a note, I apologize for how I look in a lot of these photos, these example photos. I am exhausted. I have a 5-month-old baby that is going through some sleep regression right now, so we're not really sleeping that much. So I'm very, very tired, so I apologize for looking like the crypt keeper in these examples. So with that, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I need all the help I can get. But with that, let's go on to the next form of lighting, and that is straight up. Now, with this form of lighting, you are going to get a very different style. And if you do this way, more than likely you're using a white card. Now, if you don't know what that is, it looks like this. Now these are the Godox V1 flashes and these are in the accessory kits. They magnet right on, and if you put the white card forward, you have a white card. You can also switch it and have a black card, which negates the light. Now, using the white card allows the light to shoot up and it bounces off of the white card to your subject. This is going to create a lot more ambient light in the room that you're shooting in, so it's gonna light more of the space itself. But it's also gonna light your subject and give you softer light. In addition to that, this white card will actually help create a catch light in the eye, making their eyes sparkle, and it makes the light a lot less harsh, so your shadow fall off is going to be a lot less. Now, the drawback with using this method is if you have a reflective surface behind the person you're shooting, or if you're shooting at an angle and there's a reflective surface in front of you, you're going to get hot spots. You're gonna get a bulb shot in the light. Now, personally, I hate when this happens when I'm shooting because it's very distractive. When people look at images, a lot of times their eye will go straight to the brightest part of the image. What's the brightest part of your image? For sure, it's going to be the reflection of pure light coming out of your flash, unless you're photographing the sun. Then your flash might get drowned out. But I edit this out every single time and it's a pain in the ass. Now, if your flash does not have a white card, sometimes flashes will have, for example, this is an old Canon flash. Sometimes they have little pieces hidden in them. So for example, I can pull this out and this lays on. Now this is just a softener. This just kind of softens the light. However, sometimes there's a white card attached to this where it sticks up straight and you get a white card right there so it bounces off. So check and see if your flash has that, and if not, it might have an attachment to use a white card. But I definitely recommend using the white card in a lot of instances because it really works for like events and softer light, a softer look for shots like that. Now just to show you a little comparison, here is the flash position pointed straight up with the white card, and then here is the same exact photo without the white card. You'll notice the light on my face is a lot more top heavy and my forehead is very much highlighted, whereas with the white card, you'll notice that it's a lot softer on my face and the light is a little bit more even. Now the third and final setup is probably one of my favorites, but actually the one I use the least. And not because of any negative aspect of it, just because a lot of times I shoot in places that don't have a lot of bounce. So I use the white card to get the bounce, to get the fill on the subject. But the third method is a tilted method. So if you, let me show you on the camera. If you have your camera, you tilt the light back and to the left or right, depending on where you have a wall or a surface that you can bounce the light. So if you look, it's slightly tilted. Let's see if I can show you this. You see that? Here's the back side. Slightly tilted either to the left or the right. Now, this is going to give you even softer light than straight up with the bounce card. The other benefit to this, and one thing that I use this for a lot, and probably really the only reason I use this, is it will not create a reflection or a light burst in a reflective surface. I'll show you the example here, but when you have this light facing away and hitting on a bounce, it won't reflect and cause a hot spot in your mirror or window or whatnot in front of you. So this is a really good setup to use when you're shooting into reflective surfaces to avoid that reflection. Now, even though I don't personally use this method a lot, this is probably the softest and most natural form of light, especially if you're looking at your subject and you see the light coming from the left. Well, angle the flash so the bounce is from that same way. Point the flash in the direction where the light is coming from on your subject. If it's coming from all over, that's fine, you can get away with it, but this will also create a little bit more of a shadow. As you can see in the example on my face, this creates more of a shadow because it's bouncing off the wall and it's casting a very soft shadow over my face. But here's the thing, all three of these flash methods work really well. It really just depends on the look and the style that you want to shoot. Now, all of these examples that I showed you in this video, I used ETTL. I did not use manual flash. 99 out of 100 times I'm using manual flash, but just for these examples specifically, I used ETTL and it worked totally fine. One of my favorite photographers who does lighting and is like an expert in the lighting area, travels all over the world doing epic portraits. His name is Felix Kuntz, and he said one time something very, very simple. He said, if you need more light, bring the light closer. If you need less light, bring the light farther. Now, obviously it's more complex than that, but it got me thinking, I'm like, lighting is actually really, really simple. Take away all of the complexities that you feel is there. All you're doing is adding light. You're either adding more or less. You're either adding it from this angle or that angle. You're simply deciding and shaping the light. Now, you're not gonna be a professional of that immediately, but practice and you'll get really, really good. So I hope this video helps clear up a few things and gets you a little bit more excited about taking photos using flash, because it is a lot of fun and it opens up a lot of doors. So if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe. I'll throw up 2 videos right here that I think you'll really enjoy. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one.